It's the future of the presidential campaign getting underway in California right now. President Obama is appearing before a small audience at Facebook headquarters. He's also live on the social network's website, which has more than 500 million viewers. Candidates in the 2012 race are seeking every chance to harness the enormous power of online communication that's brought down governments overseas. CNN's Dan Simon is with the president, but first we want to listen a little bit to the president.
You know, obviously we're having a very serious debate right now about the future direction of our country. We are living through as tumultuous a time as certainly I've seen in my lifetime. Admittedly, my lifetime's a lot longer than most of yours so far. This is a pretty young crowd. But we're seeing domestically a whole series of challenges, starting with the worst recession we've had since the Great Depression. We're just now coming out of it. We've got all sorts of disruptions, technological disruptions that are taking place, most of which hold the promise of making our lives a lot better, but also mean that there are a lot of adjustments that people are having to make throughout the economy. We still have a very high unemployment rate that is starting to come down, but there are an awful lot of people who are being challenged out there day in, day out, worrying about whether they can pay the bills, whether they can keep their home. Internationally, we're seeing the sorts of changes that we haven't seen in a generation. We've got certain challenges like energy and climate change that no one nation can solve, but we're going to have to solve together. And we don't yet have all the institutions that are in place in order to do that. But what makes me incredibly optimistic, and that's why being here at Facebook is so exciting for me, is that at every juncture in our history, whenever we've faced challenges like this, whether it's been the shift from an agricultural age to an industrial age, or whether it was facing the challenges of the Cold War, or trying to figure out how we make this country more fair and more inclusive. At every juncture, we've always been able to adapt. We've been able to change, and we've been able to get ahead of the curve. And that's true today as well. And you guys are at the cutting edge of what's happening. And so I'm going to be interested in talking to all of you about why this debate that we're having around debt and our deficits is so important, because it's going to help determine whether we can invest in our future and basic research and innovation and infrastructure that allow us to compete in the 21st century and still preserve a safety net for the most vulnerable among us. But I'm also going to want to share ideas with you about how we can make our democracy work better and our politics work better, because I don't think there's a problem out there that we can't solve if we decide that we're going to solve it together. And for that, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you. And instead of just giving a lot of long speeches, I want to make sure that we got time for as many questions as possible. So, Mark, I understand you've got the first one.
Yes. So the President of the United States beginning to take questions again. He is at Facebook headquarters in California, a very young audience, and an audience that was quite important to his reelection, to his election bid, and he hopes will be equally as important for his reelection bid.